Hi, my name is Eve Edwards, and you're watching the Permanent Rain Press.
Hi everyone, it's Chloe with the Permanent Rain Press today. I am so happy to be joined by Eve Edwards. How are you?
So good. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. And I'm just so excited to be diving into season one of Bet with you. But to start off, I do want to ask about your background in the arts and what sparked that passion in you.
I'm not the police coming for me. It's gonna be a lot of this. Yes, I'm wanted. I'm wanted. Um, but for there's gonna be a lot of this girl. Um, Honestly, to be very honest, I didn't really start and get into like the arts as I am now until Um, like in the recent years, like when I graduated high school, I didn't have the opportunity when I was younger to like do dance or singing or anything like that. Unfortunately, like, my classes and stuff. And I was also really shy. So, like, I remember in I remember in elementary school, like, I think I was on someone else's iPod. I don't think I got an iPod then, but like I was looking on this like casting site. It wasn't really a casting site. It's like one of those like scam websites. And it was this like to Tomorrowland with like George Clooney. And I was just like, oh my God, like I want to audition. Like, whoa, I want to do that. And then it said like level 3 reading. I was like, ooh, I don't know about that. But yeah, like I've always had the inclination to do entertainment and stuff, but it didn't really manifest until later. I was so shy. Like even when I went to middle school, like they were doing like musicals and all that. And I was just like, I don't know about that. But like I really wanted to do it. So I didn't really do like my first play until grade 9. And basically that's kind of like the only practice I had during my younger years. And then yeah, when I finally graduated, I started, to do my local short film thing and, see what's going on around the area. I'm from Ottawa, so it's she's dry. But we made it work. We made it work. And I didn't start professionally until I was 19 and literally started right when the pandemic hit, honey. Like it was so like, oh, okay. Like so I never actually have been in like a proper audition room to do like a first audition. I did like callbacks and chemistries, but like I am definitely not the traditional um actor upcoming thing. So yeah, I'm definitely making up for like everything I wanted to do when I was younger now, which I'm very grateful for. Because I feel like I have a lot to give, but I just need to tinker my stuff. Basically, I hope that answers the question. So,
For sure. And I mean, it's never too late to start, but I totally
thank
feel
you.
you. Like you said, you were so shy. So it's always very intimidating, like, seeing all these people being in their element and you're kind of like, you have
Mm,
that burning desire to join them, but it just took a little bit longer. But you've been acting, I guess, professionally for the past 5 years. And I
yeah.
would say this is like such a breakout role for you in Netflix as a bet. But what motivates and drives you as an artist? Like, what do you look for in a new project, in a new character?
I think as an artist, what motivates me most is just the authenticity in media. You know, I think like just from like, I think the climate now is very commodity, commodity, commodity. Not that it hasn't been that before, but I think for my career, I really want to see what I can do in the industry to help not only preserve like a lot of like foreign film and to, you know, really try to push authentic stories to screen. What was I saying? That's what I want to do. Yeah, that's what I want to do in my career. I look for characters that are very I don't know, just not misrepresented, but just odd and craving for something deeper and trying my best as an artist to, take the bland and turn it to something else or something like that. I think that's what motivates me most. I think I see a lot of stuff that I feel like should be put in the forefront that aren't at the forefront, and I want to see if I can in the future or the near future help put that more out there and, letting filmmakers and writers and all that kind of stuff be able to put their true voice out there without having to get, filtered or something like that. I there's such good media out there that just doesn't get the rep it deserves. You know what I mean? Like Exuma, the Korean film that came out last year, it did like so well at Cannes, and I watched it and I was like, why is nobody talking about this? You know what I mean? Like, why is North America like, come on, like, it's so authentic, it's so rich, it's so great, like it's top, like touches on like political themes and traditional themes, and it's just like this is so beautiful. Like, I would love to see that kind of ownership of identity in like North American film and television, you know? And not to say there isn't good stuff out there, because honey, there is, but I think just letting that be valued more, I would like to see. Yes.
That's fantastic. And so aside from being in the projects yourself, I know like I can sense you're so passionate about like, promoting and consuming really good art
Mhm.
and media as well. I know we were talking a bit before, but you're currently based in Vancouver more recently. So, what are some of your favorite activity, place, or food recommendations in the city so far?
Girl, I'm still learning, but you know what? Hello, Nori. That's been a good girl. She's been a good girl to me. I Uber Eats that. I went in person to go there, and it was just like I went with my castmate Clara and her friend that's now my friend as well, and we yammed on that lobster truffle roll, honey. It was so good. Yeah, I'm still discovering though. I'm still discovering. I have another place on my list, Rhythm and Spice, because I am Jamaican and I need to suss out Wagwan down there. So, you know what I mean? I need to see what Wagwan. But honestly, also hula, I know that's kind of like a franchise type thing that goes down, but like we don't have it on the East Coast. So I'm just like, I don't know. I think it's good. Like, if I'm in a pinch, let me just go get a poke bowl from Hula. I like it. I don't know. But other than that, I've been like, trying to suss out like the dance scene. Oh, shout out Harbor. And Core Studio. We love Jared, as well. And just trying to intermingle and like see the other art communities and what they're up to. So yes, that's that. I have a lot. I think it's getting nicer out. So like I will be out more and seeing what to go on. Oh,
There are
yeah.
a lot of good like kind of festivals and stuff, really good for like
Yeah.
culture and music. And you mentioned being a part or trying to join the dance communities, which I know there are some in
Yes.
Vancouver as well. So I hope you continue to get, acclimated as it gets warmer outside and summer starts.
Yes.
We'll get into Bet now, where you star as Mary Davis. This is, of course, based off the Japanese manga Kakegurui. I know you're a big manga fan and alluded to kind of manifesting this role. So, what can you share about your audition process?
My audition process, honey, when I first got that breakdown, I immediately messaged my friend. I was just like, someone's plagiarizing. Doing that because I didn't know it was Netflix. They didn't list, what streaming service it was. If it was, I would be like, oh, that makes sense because they have the license, obviously. But I was just like, what is going on? Like, someone's about to get copyright claimed, like a lawsuit's about to ensue. But I was also just like, I'm gonna get this. Because I was, yeah, because like a few years ago, I was showing the show to somebody. I love a motorcycle. I was showing the show to somebody and I was literally watching the show. I was just like, a live action, like, yeah, I could do this. Like, I would definitely be Mary. Wanted to be Yumeko, but like, I knew that wouldn't happen. Like, I was just like, no, Mary, like, I relate to her more, and like, well, period. So yeah, when I got the audition, I was actually, I felt very confidently about it that I didn't work as hard as I should have. Obviously that didn't matter. Because I was focused on another audition I was really passionate about too at the same time. But like it was one of those things where you just do it, know about it, throw it out, and then yeah, like a month or so later, I got a call back. I was like, The callback was tea. The callback was tea. That was way better. It was so fun working with Simon because he was on the call as well. Um, yeah, it kind of all felt falling into place. So, yeah, I think that's about it. Did I answer your question? I think there was more to it. I don't know.
Yeah, but no, you answered it. And like with the audition, do you remember what kind of scene you had to perform?
Yeah, the scene, it was after Yumeko and Mary's um first little thing there. First gambling thing, and she lost. Loser. And basically it was a scene like, you don't cheat if you're not trying. You don't try if you're not cheating. It was that scene, and it was also when she is a house pet to Ryan, and she's like, "You're supposed to, tell me when to sit down, honey." It was that, so that was really fun to play with. And the names were all coded and stuff, but I could kind of like already tell. It was like Katie. It was like so Mary. So like
I feel like you were maybe the only cast member who was kind of just so familiar with.
I was, and then my other friend who auditioned for it was the other person who knew exactly what it was. Unfortunately, she wasn't cast, but season two. But anyway,
There's so many more characters out there. I mean, you would
there
know,
is
but what was
there's a
your
plethora.
familiarity? Like, how long have you been familiar with Kakegurui, the manga, the Japanese live action?
Since 2019, that's when I discovered it. Yes, yes, it's been quite a while. And then it went on hiatus for a bit. And I was just like, oh my God. But it went off hiatus last year, so yay. There's new chapters I'm reading and stuff. And I had to reread the whole thing anyway, because there's some stuff I forgot, but I'm up to date now, along with Twin as well, which focuses on Mary, which I didn't read before. So I read it for this project, which is really fun.
It's
Yeah.
kind of a perfect segue into my next question in terms of what specific elements did you draw inspiration from for Mary from the source material? And are there any other fictional characters or performances that informed you?
Yeah, it was mainly just the source material. I really tried my best to, filter in from the OG manga and Twin. Um, Little attributes I can, you know, not mimic, but pay homage to through this new inspired show that we're doing. Um, So definitely like her smugness and her bitchiness. She's very much she can go to 0 from 100, especially like in the OG manga, which is really fun to play with. Um, and she had pink nails and stuff like that, so I did my pink nails and stuff. The hair, I know the topic of the hair, honey. Topic of the hair. I was originally going to go blonde, and even place it back. Actually, my hair like as braids, that was my idea. It was originally not even supposed to, we're not supposed to do that. So I was just like, no, I want to pay homage in that way. Um, just do little tails and stuff. And I was gonna go to blonde, but my hair is really long. Um, and I just didn't really want my hair peeking through the braid. I just the idea of like blonde and like brown peeking through just really just I couldn't in my mind. Also, like I have a lot of hair, so I couldn't ask the Jamaican lady to like, so can you tuck all of my hair while you braid for 10 to 15 hours? No, thank you. That would have been too much. Um, but so I just did my own color, and honestly, it paid off because those braids were like really high maintenance, and I only got them redone like twice. So my roots, you could have seen my roots really bad. But going back to the original question, yeah, it was interesting. Obviously, I feel like we didn't really see a lot of her calculatedness in this version just because, we're not doing the election plot and all that. So um in the manga you can really like hear her thoughts or read her thoughts and stuff like that. So it was really just like the more playful aspects and seeing her, you know, um reinvent herself. And a new sensitive side to her too, which only gets touched on so much in the manga. So I had to see for myself where that is for me and where that is for her character and see like, okay, maybe what would she do here? What would she do here? So it was a mix of, you know, this is inspired. We can take her to new places, as well as just like where are the aspects where I want to keep them similar and recognizable enough in this adaptation. Does this answer the question? I don't know
You
why.
don't have to keep a asking that. Don't worry, you completely are. But I think it's all about, capturing the essence. And this is
Yeah,
a character that means a lot to you. So you want
yeah.
to do her justice, but you also want to, have that creative freedom to play a bit and make those decisions for her. You touched on the hair. I know you mentioned Hot Topic. Did you experiment at all? Like, did you trial run it and you were just like, I know this is not
I
going to.
didn't trial run it because like once you do that stuff, you just have to commit to it. Yeah, I was just worried it was gonna be like too much going on. With like the contrast of like my hair. And then with like the costumes, they're a bit more done up this time as opposed to like the regular what you see in the manga. So I was just a little bit worried, but I am in retrospectively glad for my choice just because like I mean, you can kind of see my roots in the show, but like you would have seen like some really terrifying stuff. If you saw, like some blonde, high contrast, my roots popping out. It was just like retrospectively, we were good. You would have seen like the bruise on my scalp, those tails, honey.
You
I
did
had to
have
like,
the black ribbons though, which I thought was also a nice touch to
yes,
the braids. Yeah.
yes. I wanted to do them longer because I'm just like, I'm extra. Um, yeah. No, the pigtails were fun, but they were like, they did bruise my scalp because of the weight. So that's why, like in some blocks, you see me with my hair down, which I mean, kind of looks TV. So I don't regret, but that was mainly the reason. But we love the tails. We love the tails. It worked out, so that's all good.
I know you are hopeful that, in potential seasons, there's always the possibility to
Oh yeah.
explore that again. But how was it creating like her signature look with makeup and wardrobe as well? And how was those departments to work with?
Charlene, my queen. I love Charlene. That's our costume designer, head of costumes we love. When I first did the fittings, I was like, "Oh, okay. Like we're gonna get like fun here. Like this is so fun to see." Every house has their kind of like signature thing going on, which is really exciting. I thought that was a really cute idea. Um, but the phone is ringing. I'm not answering it. Um, but for Mary specifically, and I think some fans will be like, well, fans who know about the manga would be like, she's not really like, all that flowery, all that kind of like girly, girly, girly. She does give like a more masculine vibe. Even though she is girly, but not to the point where it's just like she has flowers and she has like these ruffle like socks or whatever was going on. But it's kind of like a mask for her. She's just trying to like, do it up, trying to fit in per se. Try to put her best foot forward. And it's a season one, so we're always like experimenting with makeup, see what works, what's not. You probably won't notice it, but my makeup kind of gets a bit more girly as we go through. I think it's mostly about her like finding that confidence. Like in episode 3, and like 4, when she kind of tries, I feel like she kind of like gave up a little bit. She's trying to reinvent herself. So I think throughout the series, it just kind of like um evolves in a sense, especially when she gets involved with her. So, she wants to be cute. Yeah, but working with them specifically was just very great and collaborative. Really receptive. I mean, and that's for like all departments, really, even with like Simon and stuff. We really got to say with our characters, and we really get to try new stuff and see what works, see what doesn't. So it was a very good climate on all fronts. Like there was even costumes where just like I was a bit more collaborative, like even in episode 9 and 10, we kind of all banded together to make that little frilly fit. So It was fun. It was fun. It was so great, and I hope to work with them again. I already worked with Charlene again on another thing, so I was very lucky. Love that woman.
It's so nice to find these people, behind the scenes who you really just mesh with and gel with. And, it's always, I'm sure, so fun for you to see them again in another production. Can you
Hmm.
share details on any backstory or childhood you created for Mary or discussed with others and how that helped you shape her? Because we don't really get to see too much of that in the show.
I will keep that a secret. I will keep that a secret. We haven't established it yet, so I don't want to spoil anything right now. Should we get a season two? That's for the future. Yes.
But just to clarify, you have kind of thought of something
Oh,
in your mind.
yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. It's a mess. It's a
I'm
mess.
just curious though, is this something that you kind of discuss with Simon and the team during season one, or do you kind of keep that to yourself and then maybe once hopefully season two comes along, you might kind of share those ideas, or is it kept separate or
I written stuff all by myself, but I have let Simon know what to go on. Should that come up in a future season, should we get it? But what was I about to say? Oh my God, come back, come back, come back. Um, girl. Yeah, but yeah, I've something I've already shared. It's definitely in reference. That's what I was gonna say. It was definitely in reference to the manga, though, for sure. But I expanded upon it. Because even in Twin, if I can remember, I don't think we touched too much on her backstory, but I could be wrong because I don't remember some stuff. Um, yes,
it's
yes.
always such an integral part to a character, where they have been, their past. So it's nice to know
Hmm.
you've been thinking about that. And hopefully,
Oh yeah.
we get to see more of it in the future. But Mary has this duality about her, which is heavily influenced by her being on or outside of student council. So
Yeah.
can you expand upon that personality shift for her and how you interpreted it based on her needs and personal experiences?
Yeah, in student council, the whole school is basically scraping up to the top, right? Um, excusez-moi. She fought hard to get there, and she was like the hot girl before Yumeko came in. For me, it was a few months before that happened. Like, I feel like she was still even kind of new to student council. And so obviously to try to fit in into that dynamic where, she's still sussing out herself. She sees Kira, she sees Dory, and they're all crazy and but they're all tough. So she obviously has to like match that. And so, you know, you want to be the predator instead of being eaten. So I really feel that vibe was basically all of her on student council and not wanting to be the weak one and being the one who has the potential to get nipped at the ankles. But when she gets off there after Yumiko, I really think there became like a switch of, like what is like true power? Is it power like on a seat or is it power within yourself? And so I think the series kind of at her throughout the series, you kind of see her go through that and what it means to her and, you know, carving that out for herself. And I think she looks at Yumiko and is like, wow, to do that, and not really, give zero bleep. I don't think I can swear on this program. I hope I didn't. But yeah. And so, oh my God, I'm blacking out here. Um, Yeah, so I think it's really just going through her finding that herself. And, she gets a relationship with Riri, and she's like, oh my God, then there's a softer side. And I don't think with the duality point, like, I don't think she's actually like, the hard woman that she wants to be. She really is someone who is compassionate deep down. She relates to people deep down, even though she calls Ryan an idiot. But they're there's commonalities, and she sees herself in other people. It's really an act, and she has a lot of learning to do still, about taking down that front and you know, living authentically. So I think we start to see that by the end, but there's still a ways to go. She's young. So
That's such a good way to put it, questioning what real power is. And it did feel very performative when she was on council, like the need to
yeah.
cheat, the need to assert that dominance that might not be, it's not coming from her heart. But you mentioned,
No.
losing the spot on student council. She spends the most of the season vying to get back to top 10. Can you take me through her feelings when she is deemed specifically Ryan's house pet? Like, how has that internalized for her? Because you can see almost how like much shame she carries and disgust in that initial moment.
Yeah, it's just embarrassing. It's like one of those things when your stomach drops. Because it's like in front of like the whole student body, you know, and Kira as well. And it's just like it's just getting something ripped away from you. You fought so hard. And it's also just getting, you know, this facade ripped away in front of you. So you feel naked. And so becoming the house pet to like, you know, for her, the biggest loser in the school. And not only that, her own house pet is like, wow, you know, it's like, what a switch flip. It's not in that school, it's not anything to take lightly. You know, and just have like, yeah, her whole reputation at the school be ripped away under like this, what you would think is a fluke. I mean, she says that for sure. Um, but yeah, I mean, doing the scene, it was definitely there were some things that was cut out where like I had to, he threw it on the ground and I had to go pick it up. I wish I kept in. But it was like it was so humiliating to do it too. But yeah, and that school is like a really, really big thing. Did I answer that? I think you had another point that I didn't
Yeah, no, that's it. And like you can, I'm sure when you were filming, like you can feel all those eyes burning into you. So it
Oh
really just
yeah.
adds that extra factor where although you're in character, you're like, oh, this is, it is humiliating, it is embarrassing.
Yeah.
Can you clarify what exactly does being 86th mean in the context
86.
of the school?
I don't know if I can get the wording correct, but I'm pretty sure Suki even says it. 8 feet something. It is an actual term. It is an actual term in gambling. Um, oh my God. Something something down, something something deep. I literally forgot. Yeah, it is a gambling term, but it's basically I'm so sorry. I literally forget it. I could look it up. But yeah, it's a gambling term where it's just like you're in hot water. It's you're gonna get like it's gonna be hard for you to get back up. It's basically burying you, essentially.
What's
Um,
interesting about that is because I know that there are more than 86 students at the school. So it's not like you're the bottom of the leaderboard, but there's like some
no.
additional kind of like it's some additional label on you,
Yeah, yeah,
essentially.
yeah. It's an actual gambling term though. And that's why it's in there. It was a
I
little
will look for that gambling term
yeah.
after
Sorry,
too.
I literally forgot it. Like I literally looked it up the other day and I was just like, now it's just
You were
rotted.
like, I don't want to remember it. So
Oh
out of
yeah, I
my
guess
brain.
not. Oh my God, embarrassing. But you know what? I'm not a gambler in real life. I believe in saving money.
We'll go to her relationship with Riri. Like, how
Yeah.
did you interpret those feelings and the introduction of a romantic interest between them? And in your eyes, like, is it genuine and mutual? And does Mary ever question Riri's intentions?
Yeah, it was interesting that he took this route, Simon, to finally make them like canon in a sense. It was really funny when I first read that. Because it's just like it's such a big thing, right? Um, but it's so hard to say. You know, when it was first introduced for the character, it's really just this sense of going into like nowhere land, you know what I mean? So it's a really new territory for her. no one has ever initiated this. And so obviously going into it, it was like, is this genuine? And she really asks about like, I don't play games. Like this is not because she's Kira's sister. So it's just like, what is going on? Because I know like Kira's up my ass. Like, what's going on? But yeah, and I mean, I love Onwin. Such a great scene partner to have in this. Because we both care about the characters very much, and it was very gentle, and Onwin was very gentle. Um, so even when like, we were doing like the dinner scene, I definitely felt it. I was just like, oh my God, this is so foreign. This has never happened to me. What am I gonna do? There's no way this is real. There's no way this can happen to me. Like, why me? Why me? Why me? And characters and Mary's eyes. Um, but it also felt really good. It's feeling that you can take your mask down. No pun intended, but um, you know, I think there is underlying stuff. You can never be 100% in the school, but I do think she wants it. I do think it's something that's interesting. It could take her out of this whole chaos of what the school is. Um, but I guess we'll have to see. I guess we'll have to see. Things can change. Things can change famously in this school. So,
You
yes.
mentioned the dinner scene. So can you take me through filming in that candlelit room, with Onwin? What did Mary come to a realization of from that gesture and conversation?
I think the realization really is that there is an upside. It doesn't have to be always confrontation, for lack of a better word, but you know, there is calm in life. There is passion other than, being a, what's the word? What's the word? A player in this game of the school. A player in this game of the school. You know what I mean? Um, I think it's also the realization that, not everyone's also out to get her. And I think she's also realizing that with Yumeko. It's hard to come into belief of that, but and also, the big bad guy also has a soft heart, you know. With
Can I
all
just say that I was waiting for Riri to remove her mask and that never happened. And I was like, it was like such a perfect moment too. But I hope they had a nice dinner.
Well, there was a lot of stuff. That is to be. I won't say there were scenes, but they
That
don't.
maybe didn't make the final cut.
No, they just don't exist.
I mean, come on, there had to have been more. But hey, like I'm hopefully like we get a glimpse or obviously like with the two of them together, we'll talk about the retreat and how they kind of ended. But
Hmm.
before we get to that, I also found Mary and Ryan's almost frenemy relationship very interesting. What are Mary's true opinions about him, especially since you mentioned like she considers him to be the biggest loser in
Yeah.
school when they first start? And how was it to act opposite Io in your scenes together?
Uh, Acting with Io is like literally like my little cousin. You know? Yeah, I mean, I've always loved their relationship to like the manga counterparts because it's just like it's always just like, punch in the arm type thing. So I felt like it was very much that a lot of times too. But you even see it like in episode 4 by the time it like winds down. Um, she thinks he's an idiot for sure, in the sense of that it's like, buddy, try harder. Like, like grow a spine, try that, see how it suits you, and then come back to me later. Um, but with that being said, he has a lot of morality about him, and I mean, his character even in the manga represents that, the very grounded nature of the school as all this chaos ensues and Yumiko beats herself. you know. Um, she definitely agrees with like, yeah, coming back down to earth and just because like here's the thing, she doesn't even like gambling, you know what I mean? It's really just a means to an end. It's really something she does in order to get ahead, but the relationship to it is, you know, kind of like the same as Ryan. Like he doesn't really participate in because it's like crazy, you know? Um but yeah, I would say she relates to him in the more grounding and that he like, you know, he does stand up for himself in different ways. You know, he's not crazy enough to give up his virginity for like, you know, a payout. Um, but yeah, I love the frenemy dynamic and I think it's gonna like stay the same, but I think it's gonna grow where the respect comes more. She does respect him to a degree. But it's, you know, she's also has a very big ego about her. So,
She says
yeah.
it in that scene too, and I think she's like, "Oh, it was like a day for you to grow a spine." When
Oh
he
yes.
didn't, he turned Yumiko down despite he had to
Yeah.
stay true to his values. But that cupcake scene for his birthday was so so cute. I
It
loved
was
that
cute.
scene.
Like she does that. Like she would it pained her, but you know, she's nice, I swear.
Can you
Yes.
summarize Mary's feelings towards Yumiko and how they changed and grew in intensity throughout the season as Yumiko continued to disrupt the school hierarchy, but also show Mary kindness?
I feel I feel as she looks at Yumiko, and this is very reminiscent of the manga too, um, where she looks at her and is just like, how, you know, how, why, and can I live up to that? You know, she finds it admiring that she doesn't cheat in order to get what she, you know, in order to win. She admires how she sees gambling, though she thinks it's insane. Um, you know, so I feel like to most people, but in Mary's eyes too, is that she's like a really big enigma. And to also overlay it with her extending kindness, even after I cheated and all of that, and me just being an outright bitch. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, it's again like with Riri, it's like why? Like, why are you doing this for me? Um, because yeah, she does obviously have some issues with like, is she deserving or not? Despite her being very ambitious, she is, and she will get there. She doesn't care. Um, but yeah, and also, yeah, there is this like underlying feeling of just like, is this romantic? Like, what am I feeling for her? Is it just platonic? Am I in love with her? Do I want to be her? It's like a combination of like all of that kind of stuff. Um, which is really fun, and it's really nice to play with that with Miku. She's such a lovely little queen, my bean, bean, bean. Um, but yeah, it's a lot of things, and I don't want to ever pinpoint it for her. I think it's just like it's always going to be fluid. I think you see like a lot of places where it's just like, is it that or is it that? Um, yeah, which is really fun because I think all of those things came up at the same time, regardless.
And it's a really good challenge for you as an actor as well. And I could sense, you playing with that. And there are moments throughout, including when she watches Ryan and Yumiko share that close moment during the house pet hunt, and she looks hurt. So was that kind of tapping into those feelings? Like, was it romantic? Because Riri looks on, and Mary does make a comment that she's focusing too much on Yumiko and not enough on herself.
Hmm. I felt like it was like romantic for sure, but then also like, why am I not there? Like, why am I not chosen to do this with you? You know? And like, am I good enough? Am I not? But also, she was also scared to like, you know, go through that again, obviously, with Yumiko. But I think definitely with that, there was like a lot of jealousy on like the romantic points for sure. But yeah, like focusing on myself or as Mary's self for sure. You know, getting back on track. getting what I want, going to get the top 10, by the end of the year. But also, yeah, pursuing this like newfound feeling of, hope and romance and, someone who sees me, which is so big for her, Um, because it's like if Yumeko's not gonna see me, Riri can for sure. But then yeah, there's also just like do 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 like you know what I mean? It's like a mix of a lot of things. But for the most part, it was just like, no, this is great. I want this. This is a new life for me, and I can have this and get packed into the top 10 for sure, for sure.
There's
Yes.
definitely like the underlying, there'll always be like that chemistry and that tension. But like you mentioned, with Riri here, someone who's being so bold with, what she wants, and she's interested in Mary. So she's kind of like, okay, let's maybe see where that goes. Can you take me through the game of nerve? How did you prepare for it? And then filming the dialogue and heightened reactions on the day of, including that gruesome ending.
Yes. For me, that scene really mimicked Yumeko and Mary's second gambling experience in the manga. I believe that was like around chapter 70, 71 to like 74, 75. Anyways, um Mary in that scene, particularly in the manga, she started to really feel kind of like the same rush Yumeko was feeling. Um and I really resonated with that for the scene. Um and in that scene they do, spoiler, they go into a tie, but they're like both working together, and they're both, they're on the same page. And Mary feels like she's on the same level after feeling like really insecure in a sense of just like, who is this woman? Why is she doing this? Why? Are you so great? You're an enigma, you're crazy. Um, and that's also coming from someone who feels the opposite way of gambling. So yeah, I really tried to reference those elements in this scene. I also, filming on the day was so intense, honey. Oh my God. It was so long, and it was just so much screaming. Um I did want to try to see if I can like, pay some homage in the anime sense, I guess, of just like, yeah, like the heightened reactions and stuff like that. See what I could do there. It was definitely like different on the day from what you saw, but I think it still like showed through to a degree, which is good. Um yeah, it was definitely, I was looking at Yumiko. Obviously we started at like butting heads, but then, Mary really starts to enjoy this, and starting to really see what it's all about for Yumiko. Starting. And, she still loves her. She still has like feelings for her and all those things I've said before. And, it's not only her like starting to see me, but it's also her having fun, Mary having fun, until the bitter end. That contraption was so cool. I was like, as a fan, I was so happy to see the guillotine there. Because I was like, wait, like T. When Simon like told me that, because like we didn't know all the episodes at once. But when he told me it was gonna happen, I was just like, are you serious? This is so fun. Um, but yeah, it was definitely like really intense on the day, but Miku and I had like the most fun. It was probably like my favorite scene to do for sure. Yes.
You can really feel like that anticipation building in the room on screen. So I can only imagine what it was like on set. That gruesome ending, though. At first, I thought that she lost her finger, but I think it was just like a really bad slice, right? Because she
Yeah, it was
had
it was a dull blade, she was old. She was old. She was sitting there in that little room for a while now. She needed to sharpen, and luckily that worked out in my favor. So
When Mary finds out that Yumiko bet on her making top 10 at end of term, did that repair a bit of the fracture between them, or did Yumiko's ulterior motives bother Mary?
I think that it didn't bother her because again, like, and I mean, referencing back to the chapters I mentioned before, it was the same thing of Yumiko trusting Mary to do this thing and like, secure, I mean, and that was like a whole different thing, but it was basically the trust of I believed in you. Not really the tier motive. It was always a question for Mary, like, am I good enough? Like as a gambler in the school, like can I actually make it? And Yumiko always believed in me this entire time for enough for her to make a bet on me that I get back into the top 10, So she never actually, the doubts in my mind or her mind, rather, were all just her own talk. And, it was definitely an emotional thing to go through because it's like, yeah, I am enough. Yes, I am a smart person, like I can do this. And, going back to just the relationship in general, it's just like she does care about me. Like she does love me. Like she does see me. It was nice. It was nice to be a part of the whole scheme, you know. Because you do on top of that kind of win too. So yes.
What's interesting is they share that little moment on the steps before the retreat when she asks Yumiko, like, how did you know I'd make top 10? And she said, I didn't. It was just a bet. But that means so much that, I guess she would basically bet on Mary winning because that could also lead to her downfall as well. So there's kind of like that element of I'm good enough to be bet on for this.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'm a good enough of a risk. Yeah.
yeah. What do you remember from filming the blackjack game between Yumiko and Kira with Mary's role as the dealer and her reaction to watching them play together? Like, does she recognize that they're not at 100% what was going on there?
It was such a crazy vibe. Like there was so much happening during those days when we were shooting that. Yeah. It from Mary's point of view, obviously she's coming off of the alcohol, but she was good by then. She was good by then. But yeah, I didn't 100%. I keep on saying I. I'm just gonna keep saying I because I know I'm gonna keep saying I. Mary, however, kept she didn't know 100% what's going on, but I think definitely by the end of the game, it was like, no, there's something up. Like there's this vial between my corset. Um, the stakes were already crazy just from like Emiko gambling Kira at the cottage. But yeah, by the end when I saw them like, crumbling down, it's just like, okay, this is something more. I don't know exactly, but I have to do something. But also, it was an opportunity to show off a little bit. Not to say that was like the full intention, for sure. Um, but it definitely like was the right thing to do because it's like I'm seeing them, becoming almost immobile. Um, and yeah, it was something was off, and I didn't want to see, especially Yumiko, crumble. Definitely more pro Yumiko for sure, for sure. I will say that.
So there definitely was a bit of gameplay on Mary's part to kind of come out
Yeah.
on top.
Yeah, for sure. Um, but I think it was more, me trying to do the good deed at the same time. Yeah, it was all really hard to say, kinda. It was just like, yeah, it was because by the end you get to episode 10, it's just like really it's kind of muddy with in terms of like relationships, like on all fronts. You just don't know where anyone's gonna go, really.
It was
Yeah.
also interesting for her to obviously see them finally play a game together. Like she was surprised, and Ryan was surprised to see them standing together. So Mary overhears that Riri detonated the bomb that killed Blake and her stepfather and confronts her. And later on, Riri protects Mary from Gabriel. By episode's end, what are Mary's thoughts towards Riri after all that has transpired at the retreat?
Um, there was a scene cut out, so I will try my best to do it as what you saw. But from that, it's not necessarily on the most steadiest of stilts. What am I saying? But yeah, it's not on the most steadiest of ground or whatever. For sure. Because, she, she double crossed me in a way. And, after her doing all these things for me and showing me a new path of life, what could be, it was, and that I thought she was like different. It's not, you don't feel the most secure in a relationship when they're not telling you that you killed somebody. you know, it's, the average day. What am I saying? But yeah, but when she did that for, Gabriel being a creep, um, obviously she still cares. And I still do think that she wants to like work it out to a degree, but can't be so sure at the moment. Because we don't know what happened out there when they walked away, do we? So,
Murder is very hard to look past, I'm sure.
pardon?
For murder is very hard to look past, I'm sure, for Mary.
Well, yes, it's not something she's used to. Obviously she knows the nature of the school, but you don't think it's going to be so close to home. I am sleeping in that woman's bed. She is gone. But yeah, we can't say for sure at the moment. But it's not what it used to be for sure. Yeah.
What's interesting is Mary also gets that recognition from Mr. Timarov, but she doesn't seem to really want it as much anymore, which I think has kind
Yeah.
of transpired after, hearing of what happened.
Yeah, it's as much as she wanted it in the beginning, and then after hearing all that stuff with Riri, it's, what have I entangled myself into? Because yeah, she was on the student council before, but she didn't go no summer program. You know what I mean? She didn't go here. So I think it's just getting really real for her. And it's kind of just the question of, what is it worth at this point? Um, Trying to get into these rooms and trying to, build a legacy for myself. Like, what does that mean? Um, I think obviously she has it in her back pocket that, yeah, I did that and I was able to weave my way in. I think there was definitely a confidence boost for Yumeko to trust me to do this and just like in general with my finger. Um, you know, um but it's just like I think it's just all a big question right now. I don't think there's anything dead set of how she feels, but it doesn't feel secure for sure. That is something for sure.
How was it working with your cast? What can you say about them collectively? And do you have a favorite memory from being together?
Collectively, you know what? This was like my first big thing. Um, and walking onto like the idea of walking onto any other set at this point is like I really do have such an expectation. Because my cast and crew was that good. Um, we didn't have like any chemistry reads or anything. We kind of just like all really just got along just like that. Um, we were such big like learning experiences for each other in like such a positive way. And I just, we all want to do this again. We love each other so much. And like, yeah, even I remember like crew members like on our thing being like, yeah, like why is there like no problems, you know? Like why is there like no beef? And obviously like you have your regular like bumps in the roads and stuff like that. You're doing a show. It's not going to go perfectly, but it's like it was basically the whole environment was just so it was like healthy for like a show. You know what I mean? Yeah, I love them so much. And they're just really good people and we all just wish the best for each other. We all hope we continue to grow. We all hope we win. Um, I can't say like anything more positive. Well, I could, but like, like there's nothing, it's really just that. I'm really grateful for them. And yeah, I do have the expectation to have like the best time of my life on my next set. But I know I can't live up to it. And that's not to say I won't be in any other good set. It's just like, wow, like that is such a good experience. Like that's crazy to have. Um, yeah, but memories, damn, there's so much to go through. Um, I'm also just thinking because we have a shared album of all these like stupid photos and videos and stuff from set, and I watch them even if like I wasn't there. Oh, that's a good question. I will say, just to say something, Rami Khan, who plays Rex, we love. Um, we just always did like our vocal stems together, like just straight up brain rot talk. Like, there was this thing that Britney Spears did on a song or something, where she's like, "Yeah, yeah." Like that's basically it on set. Like that's literally all we would do together, and just I don't know. There's just so much stuff. I know. I wasn't even there, but I watch back this video all the time. It's like. It was Rami, Ryan, Hunter, Aviva, and Onwin doing this like improv show outside of the house, like at the cottage downstairs in the green room outside. And it's just like this stupid video I keep watching of them doing this stupid skit that they just make up on the spot. It's improv. Yeah, like memories like that, just so unserious behind the scenes, and some of our shows even like a little unserious, and you can kind of feel that from us because we were just like loony. um but yeah, I mean, I think just doing the show with my cast as a whole is like a good memory of enough. That was such a ramble. I hope you enjoyed that.
I did, and it's really like the people, and you mentioned some of these behind the scenes moments that really make the experience as well and keep you, coming back when you can think about these funny videos and
Mm.
hanging out with your co-stars. What was your familiarity with gambling card games going into filming, and what was your knowledge level after you wrapped production?
you know I'm the hottest at solitaire. um Whiz at Crazy Eights, Master at Presidents, the All Ruler of Spit. I think that's called something different in a lot of places, but spoons, I don't know. That is about it. I'm really good at those. Oh, cheat as well. Love cheat. Very good at that. But like poker, blackjack at the time, like I was like, right, like I can do a slot machine. That's easy. You know what I mean? You press that button, put that thing down. Hello. But roulette, I was like, I don't know. Like I can't really count on all like my 10 fingers and toes. You know what I mean? Um, but yeah, we had to learn like a lot of card tricks and stuff going into it. You can kind of you can kind of see that in the first part. It kind of phased out a little bit, because we were just trying to suss out, and it's not the most important part in this series to like, put a card between your fingers. But we learned that. We had wonderful card people and gambling poker people. Josh and Calvin were our supervisors over that. They taught us like how to play poker and like blackjack and All these card tricks, especially Calvin, because he's like a magician. And I'm just like, we're all watching him. I'm just like literally in that first part when we're about to learn, I was just like, there's no way I can do this. Like having to do like the card. Oh my God. I was like, guys, I'm gonna fail. Shuffling. Cause like I was never a good shuffler. Now I can shuffle for sure. But like that bridge, I was like, guys, there's no way. And my fingertips were like falling off and it was a mess, but I got it. Um, but you only have so much time to learn about these stuff when you're like, trying to learn lines, trying to get your character down, put it to picture, all that stuff. And like we had a really like back-to-back schedule. So, you do what you can. Um, but uh I would say I still can't really understand poker all that much. If I went back on the DS and played Super Mario Bros. And like did poker with Luigi, I could probably like could remind myself. Still trying to still trying like I know three of a kind like that for sure, but like this flush stuff, I'm like, got it for sure. Blackjack, I do get more though, but it's also because like I had to deal it. So, and I learned that in like 1 or 2 days. So proud of myself. But I was definitely struggling not only with my nails, but also it just like the texture of the table. I was just like trying to drag it across. It wasn't like a regular like poker table. It was like a makeshift because it's like you're just doing this at a cottage. But yeah, there were some tricks that Calvin taught us that I did know at the time, have since forgotten. But I'm sure I could pick it up again. I would definitely be able to pick it up again more. I'm still working on like this one. I can't do it too far yet. But that's for another day, I guess. Got to keep
This makes
trucking.
perfect, right? You kind of got to start now until
Yeah,
season two, hopefully, and you'll be a pro. But I thought it came together really well, and I'm glad you got some more kind of card game
yeah.
knowledge. How was it working with Simon Barry and his creative vision for the show? Like, was it very collaborative with Simon and your directors?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure everyone else in the cast can say this is just like Simon is such a good person, such a good creative to work with. And he was super, super flexible. You know, I think it was definitely an all collaborative show in the sense of just like everyone kind like not everyone kinda, everyone did have like a say on their character and trying to shape the show for what it is and make it give it its own identity, you know because like yeah, for me, he knew I was a fan of the manga and stuff, and famously I want to try to do it as best as I possibly can. I'm a very very particular person. um yeah, but yeah, so if I was like a line that I was just like, I don't know if this is like her, like I don't know if she would say this. Like, what can we workshop some different stuff? And he was very open to that. And, crafting this as we go along. And, just also like, importantly for like Riri and our eyes relate that's a phrase, relationship, wanting to make sure it's done right and with love. It's a queer storyline, and we didn't want it to be, you know, rushed or for lack of a better word, but like, we just wanted it to be crafted in a way that makes sense for us and for the longevity of their relationship should we get like another season, you know what I mean? Um yeah, and I'm pretty sure he said like, he doesn't usually give that much power to the people in that sense, but he's glad he did. I'm not speaking for him, Simon. I'm so sorry. But I do remember you saying that like you like that. You liked us being like, a little family, little team. Oh my gosh. Don't come for me, Simon. But no, yeah, it's an experience that I'm very grateful for, especially as someone who wants to do stuff in the future, like my own projects in the future, like I was able to shadow, and that was so amazing. And, see behind the scenes, because that was really interesting to me. And it was not only available to me, it was available to other people, and yeah, and it's just really, it's really heartening to see somebody who's been in the industry so long being open to like, younger creatives who also have that same passion and drive and want to, do something in the future and like keep the industry going for that sense. So yeah, very much still in contact with that man and his lovely wife Jackie, who was a director on this show as well. Episodes 3 and 4 may or may not be my favorites, but we shall see. I love her so bad. But yes. Yeah, very grateful for him, for them. Um, and I would love to work with them again, just because they're just lovely people.
That's fantastic. And it means so much coming from top down, like you mentioned, especially like emerging artists like yourself, interested in maybe going behind the scenes in the future. If renewed for a second season, what would you like to explore with Mary? And are there any other storylines you're excited to see more of?
Yeah, for Mary particularly, obviously new hair. Oh, shut the fuck up. I'm sorry. Block, 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 block. Sorry. I want you to get monetized. Sorry, sorry. Do you know how many times I had to do I said the F word so much in this show, and I had to ADR a lot of it. Oh my God. I gotta be tame. I gotta be tame. Oh my God. But yes, I would love to experiment with hair now that we have that established, that look established, and maybe go blonde, do some other braids or something like that. Maybe wear my hair like this. Hello, because braids are heavy, honey. Um, but I would love to kind of go into her more calculating side. Like I said before, you're able to see in the manga like her thoughts, and that's with other characters too. But she's such a smart person, and I would love that side to be seen more. And I think definitely for our show and how it's arced out, I think there's an allowance because now she's in a different place. She's like more mature in a sense. I never want to say like 16-year-olds mature because mature for your age, like whatever, but she's smart and I really want to accentuate that more because we saw a lot of her like smart ass smugness, um, you know, maybe even erratic, you could say, side of her a lot. And yeah, definitely touch more on the arc with Riri. I'm very interested for that, or where that's gonna turn to. Um, and definitely like now that she's in student council for this year, Kira's like, ugh. And also Yumiko's there. And it's like, okay. This is like us looking at the table being like, right. You know what I mean? And like Dory and Suki's just there. I don't know. It's just really, really interesting. And yeah, now that, Michael's dad's dead, like it's all kind of crazy. So I would love to go into more depth of the school in terms of just like darkness and stuff. You know, what more crazy stuff can happen. Yeah, definitely like a leadership role for Mary for sure. I would more calculating, more conniving, maybe even. I don't know. I just want to see her like really at her peak, you know. I think that's really interesting. Yeah.
Especially as you're working towards, finding her and those true motivations and intentions. I have a couple more questions for you. Being inspired by any beloved popular manga, as you know, would draw the attention of many, and you've been aware of this online discourse. So, how did you approach this coming from the sense of wanting to do the source material justice, but balancing that with telling your own story and bringing something fresh to the character?
Yeah, when I first got the breakdown, like I was kind of like many people you see online being like, so what? So like, how are you gonna do this? Like, this is very ambitious. But once I got the callback sides, I was looking at because like I feel like the first sides were kind of like more or less like maybe not the second one, but more or less canon. But like then the sides that I saw for the callbacks, I was just like, oh, this is going to be its own identity. And so once I signed on and started to like get the scripts in and do the work and all that kind of stuff, I was like, okay, I had to admit to myself, I was like, so we're doing something different. this is it's very much inspired, very, very much inspired. It's not like a canon adaptation. So for as a fan, I definitely had to come to terms with that. And I was definitely like fighting myself on set, which is like, oh, but it should be more like this for her. But you can only do so much. Like I don't look like her. And I knew that going into it for sure. So I was like, so I don't look like her for sure. That's like my first defense. So it's just like, no, Eve, like you do have the room. Not only is the script allowing you, but you have to allow yourself to carve out its own identity. It's not, we're not doing it verbatim. So definitely like the balance, I had my quarrels with it because I was putting so much pressure on myself because yeah, I'm a fan. I want to do this more or less right actor. Um, you know. Um, so yeah, there was an admission where it's just like it's gonna be okay. We're doing a different thing. You're allowed to have fun. It's really it's not that serious. But for the fans and stuff, I think it's important to remember, especially even for me too, we're not taking anything away. We're not taking anything away. Like the manga still exists. It's still going, honey. Like it's still going. There's many adaptations out there for people to enjoy. This is just like, a really different take on it. And I think that's great that we did that because, you already have like your other live adaptations, you have your anime and you have the book. It's just like it's fun. It's fun. And it would have been hard to like do that verbatim, like really, really hard. So I'm glad with the direction we took. It's just like a fresh thing for new eyes. Um, you know, but yeah, the manga is like you can't top a source material. It is the source material. It's what it is, and it's so good. And if anyone watches our show, I hope they go and read the book. Like it's so, so good. Um, you know, so it has a lot of like really good themes that it touches on when it comes to like capitalism and, also just risk in life and all that kind of stuff. It's also like very smartly written in terms of like the games. I'm just like I have to read over and just like, what did you say? Even like if you watch like the anime version too, it's just like you have to like go back and be like, so what? How do you play? You know what I mean? It makes me feel dumb, and I like that. Yeah, so I hope that answered the question. I don't.
That was so beautifully said, and I think it's just really important to know that this new show is not trying to replace what's already
No,
out there, and you can't replace it. But I think
no.
it's really great for new viewers. Like I was introduced to Kakegurui through that, and so
Mhm.
now I'm interested in checking out what's already out there with the source material, and I think that that's what the show can also really do, and
I hope
hopefully,
so.
capture some of those source material fans as well.
Yeah.
Please give it a shot. That is such a fantastic show. I have one more question for you, our signature question. If you could be any ice cream flavor, which would you be and why?
Spearing this question. I'm so bad at this one. This is the hardest question. Um, okay. I have a like a really hard time reading myself. I think, can I do two? Amazing. I find myself to be very annoying. Not even trying to like demean myself. Like I know I'm annoying. Ask my mother, Um, I think the most annoying ice cream there is Super Kid, from Laura Secord. I think it's awful. Why do I want ice cream that tastes like gum? That tastes like artificial blueberry, raspberry, and banana. Why would I want that ever? That's annoying. So for that, I would say Super Kid. If we're talking about traits. Um, if we're going to be more positive, I would like to say, even though it's really hard to choose, the apple pie ice cream at Cow's Ice Cream. I know you have one in Whistler, but I'm a PEI girly through and through. If you're ever on the East Coast, please check out Cows Ice Cream. It'll change your life. Get a shirt, get a shirt. Um, Best. Also birthday cake shout out. It's the best, and I want to be the best that I can at my craft and other things as well. And I aspire to be the cow's apple pie ice cream in life. So, yes.
I appreciate the thought, and you could be a double scoop, so you can have best of
Sure.
both worlds. I love those answers. So, and things off. Thank you so much, Eve, for taking the time to chat. I really appreciate the conversation.
It was so lovely to chat with you.
I hope we get to catch up in the future, but until then, for all those watching, make sure to catch Eve as Mary in Bet. Season 1 is out now on Netflix, and we will see you next time.
Bye.